The boy never had the chance to understand what was happening. On the afternoon of May 21st, 1924, 14-year-old Bobby Franks was walking home through the quiet streets of Chicago's Kenwood neighborhood. It was a warm spring day, the kind where children lingered outside a little longer before going home. Bobby carried his school books and followed the familiar route he had walked many times before. Then a car pulled up beside him. Inside were two young men he recognized, men from his own neighborhood. They greeted him casually and offered him a ride. There was nothing alarming about the moment, but inside that car sat Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, two brilliant university students who had spent months planning what they believed would be the perfect murder. The moment Bobby stepped inside the vehicle, their plan was set in motion. Seconds later, without warning, a metal chisel came crashing down. Chicago during the early 1920s was a city bursting with energy. Prohibition had transformed nightlife into a thriving underground culture where jazz clubs, secret bars, and organized crime flourished side by side. Gangsters battled for control of illegal alcohol, while police attempted to maintain order. At the same time, enormous wealth flowed through the city. Industrialists built grand homes, universities flourished, and Chicago became a symbol of modern American ambition. Yet beneath that vibrant energy, darker stories were beginning to emerge. Crime was rising. Violence was becoming more visible. Even so, the crime that would soon shock the nation did not come from gangsters or hardened criminals. Instead, it would come from two privileged young men whose intelligence and education had convinced them they were above ordinary rules. Wide landscape comic-style illustration, panoramic 1920 Chicago skyline with glowing jazz clubs, busy streets, vintage cars and pedestrians, silhouettes suggesting Prohibition-era nightlife, dramatic noir lighting, graphic novel-style composition, overlay text. During the Roaring Twenties, Chicago was a booming city of jazz, wealth, and growing crime hidden beneath the excitement. Bottom right overlay text. Bedtime stories. Richard Loeb was very different. Also born into wealth, Loeb was charming, outgoing, and socially confident. He excelled academically as well, graduating from the University of Michigan at just 17 years old. Unlike Leopold, Loeb enjoyed social life and attention. He also had a fascination with crime stories. Detective novels and mystery tales filled his shelves, and he particularly admired fictional criminals who managed to outsmart the police. To Loeb, the idea of the perfect crime was thrilling. It was less about violence and more about intellectual competition, proving that a criminal could outwit authorities through planning and intelligence. When Leopold and Loeb met at the University of Chicago, their personalities formed a dangerous combination. Leopold admired Loeb intensely and often sought his approval. Some historians later suggested Leopold may have been emotionally dependent on Loeb's attention. Loeb, in turn, enjoyed the influence he held over his friend. Their conversations often revolved around philosophy, crime stories, and intellectual challenges. Over time, their discussions began to drift into dangerous territory. They started asking themselves a chilling question. If they were truly more intelligent than everyone else, could they commit a crime so perfect that no one would ever catch them? At first, their crimes were small experiments. They stole items from stores, broke into fraternity houses, and committed acts of petty theft around campus. These early crimes were not committed for money. Instead, they were performed for excitement. Each successful act reinforced their growing belief that they were intellectually superior to everyone else. If they could outsmart store owners and campus security so easily, they wondered, how far could they go? But small crimes quickly lost their excitement. Leopold became increasingly fascinated with philosophical ideas about superiority and morality. In particular, he misinterpreted certain philosophical ideas about exceptional individuals existing beyond normal moral rules. Combined with Loeb's fascination with criminal ingenuity, these ideas led them towards something far darker. If they truly were superior, they reasoned, perhaps ordinary laws did not apply to them. Eventually, their discussions turned into a plan. They would commit what they called the perfect crime. The act itself would prove their intellectual superiority. They chose murder, not for money, not for revenge, but purely for the thrill and challenge of getting away with it. Eventually, they decided their victim would be a child. A young boy would be easier to lure into a car without suspicion. But after all their planning, their perfect crime collapsed because of one small mistake. At the crime scene near the culvert where Bobby's body was discovered, investigators found a pair of eyeglasses. The investigation quickly closed in. Leopold initially claimed he had lost the glasses during a bird-watching trip in the area. But police continued examining the evidence and questioning both young men. Their stories began to unravel. The trial that followed became one of the most famous in American history. The defense attorney delivered a lengthy argument against the death penalty, transforming the courtroom into a national spectacle. In the end, the judge sentenced both Leopold and Loeb to life imprisonment plus 99 years. They had escaped the death penalty, but their attempt at the perfect crime had ended in lifelong imprisonment. The Leopold and Loeb case remains one of the most disturbing crimes in American history. Two brilliant young men believed intelligence alone made them superior to everyone else. But in the end, a single overlooked clue proved that the perfect crime does not exist.